Are you concerned about childhood obesity? Learn what this philanthropist put together to teach children a healthy way of life. Her recipe for success has creatively tackled one of the biggest health challenges facing our nation today. Next on Living Smart.
Production funding for Living Smart with Patricia Gras is underwritten in part by Halliburton.
Hello, I'm Patricia Gras. Welcome to Living Smart, the show designed to help you get the most out of life. Today's guest is philanthropist and self-declared foodie, Gracie Cavnar. Her program Recipe for Success creatively tackles childhood obesity by empowering children to look at food in a different way.
Food is a visceral thing. Food is a universal language. One that speaks to all of us on the most visceral of levels.
In a society that dines on fast food, philanthropist Gracie Cavnar is dishing out healthy eating habits.
I keep everything in old coffee cans.
With Recipe for Success.
Recipe for Success is a foundation that my husband and I started with the goal of combating childhood obesity, but with fun things, by introducing children to their food. Our overarching goal is to change the way our children eat. And I think if anybody becomes familiar with their food from seed to plate, it can change the way they eat for life. Round zucchini, beautiful.
Making meals from seed to plate is not just a recipe for success, but the key ingredient.
You learn the difference between the way real food tastes and processed food tastes. You become sensitized to that. Then you start paying attention to what you're eating and how you're eating. It works for everybody, but particularly for children. What are the little ones, kumquats?
Today's children are eating their way to a shorter life. The Institute of Medicine reports that 1 in 5 children will become obese by the end of the decade, causing health problems that put children's lives at risk. As both a journalist and mother, Gracie was upset how food was being marketed to children. But instead of getting mad, she took action.
So we have this pilot in 5 elementary schools where we have identified nutrition advocates, where we're working with the entire administration and all the teachers, but we're focused even more heavily on those 4th graders.
Did everybody find a seat?
We have 21 4th grade classes that we give a 1-hour cooking class to once a month.
You scrambled eggs all by yourself?
I spent a lot of time with 9-year-olds.
And we have molasses.
Under the umbrella for Recipe for Success, a program called Chefs in Schools, Gracie enlisted the help of some of Houston's finest culinary artists to help donate their time and teach children how to cook healthy meals.
And you can even, if you want to use this instead of ground, you can grind it all up. You can put it
I
in
got just a huge response. Over 30 chefs, all the great chefs in Houston said yes.
So Indies.
We targeted 4th graders. 4th grade seems to be the sweet spot.
They also grow a lot of cloves.
Children are old enough to learn new skills on the level of real cooking skills, but still young enough to be excited about working with adults. Somewhere around 10 or 11, they get way too cool to hang out with adults. At 8 and 9 years old, they're still in awe of a chef in his full whites walking into the room like a rock star. They treat him like a rock star.
You act like I play baseball or something. I think I'd like to see them, number one, enjoy themselves when they're cooking. It's not a chore, but I think it's a lifestyle that they need to see and learn that you can enjoy food and enjoy cooking.
Perfect.
Currently serving over 400 children, Recipe for Success provides all ingredients, utensils, and recipes for the students.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Get the aroma in.
Everybody gets to do something, but nobody gets to do everything. So they work in a team. One child does the measuring in the cups, the other measuring with the teaspoons. One's the mixer-upper, one breaks the egg. They all have the recipes. It's kind of cool.
This evangelist of healthy eating was raised from seed to plate. Her grandparents were farmers and ranchers, and her parents encouraged cooking. The oldest of 4 girls, Gracie was originally motivated to cook because
I learned early on that if I learned to cook, that I didn't have to clean up.
Today, Gracie found a cooking partner in husband Bob, a food enthusiast himself.
He loves to cook, too.
Use the iron skillet.
So, food. There's food again.
Gracie practiced what she preached when raising her own 3 children.
We didn't have junk food or carbonated drinks in the house. They didn't even know that most kids put sugar on their cereal. It was just a foreign thing to them.
Okay, I'm ready for plates. Perfecto.
With her own children grown, Gracie, the self-proclaimed foodie, now looks towards the next generation of kids.
I want the kids to take away a true understanding of food. You know, what we put in our bodies is so important. Kids don't pay attention to cause and effect, so I don't want to preach that. But I do hope kids take away a true appreciation for food and that we can change the way they eat.
Thanks to Gracie, the program Recipe for Success is molding the minds and diets of children, one class at a time.
What do we say? I think so.
Look at the muffins, guys. Check to make sure they're ready.
Totally thumbs up. What do y'all think?
See you next month, guys.
Gracie, it makes me want to be in that classroom.
It's so fun. It really is.
Thank you so much for joining us. You're obviously very passionate about food, and I wonder how difficult it is to empower the children, the teachers, the parents to be as passionate about healthy foods.
You know, it's all about that first introduction and getting them over, leap over the familiar into the unfamiliar in many cases. So that's where peer support comes in handy, because if I can get even a handful of the kids to say, sure, I'll try it,
right, then
the others will go, well, maybe I'll try it. Well, okay. And we say to them, you don't have to eat it, but we all took a pledge at the first class that they would try everything that we cooked. Just try it. And so many times I can coax them to just touch it with their tongue, something unfamiliar, and then they're surprised.
How good it tastes.
How good it tastes, because good taste tastes good.
That's right. And, you're a journalist as well, and you've been reading about this for a long time. What do you think brought on the obesity epidemic in children that we have today, which is such an overwhelming problem, really?
It is overwhelming, and I believe it's overwhelming because it's the perfect storm of cultural and business, agribusiness in particular. So it's not just one thing. You can't say, oh, well, it's kids are on computers all the time, or they're on television all the time, and they don't exercise anymore, or they eat junk food. It's all of the above.
Right.
And we have all been marketed to death to take the focus off of the food itself.
Right.
And we're marketed about the vitamins and about the components of processed food, because, of course, every time a food is touched, the more people profit from it.
Right.
And so we're the victims of marketing in so many ways, but also just of our own lack of focus.
And that leads to my next question about nutrition. I mean, we are being sold a lot of supplements. You need this supplement for this, you need this supplement for that. And in reality, we should be able to get that from whole foods.
That's right. That's right. And I think we were talking earlier about Michael Pollan's recent article he calls it nutritionism.
Nutritionism, yeah.
And I love that new word. I'm probably going to have to start using it myself. But he begins the article with his solution to eating right. Eat food, mostly plants, not much.
Right.
I mean, it boils down to that. And so the less you touch a food, the less you process it, the more natural vitamins it has. Much of the nutritionism that's gone into adding vitamins, adding this, adding that, is because of the things that are taken out due to processing.
Okay. So that's the explanation for nutritionism, when you're adding all these other supplements or processes that should not be there.
That's it.
You should just get it from the ground,
Get
right?
it from the
Get
whole
that lettuce
source.
from the ground.
From the whole source.
How did you get involved in creating this great program, Recipe for Success?
Totally in the backwards way. Totally in the unintended consequences way.
Right.
But I just became interested in, I think I mentioned marketing before, the marketing of junk food to kids always bothered me a lot. And then when I noticed, it wasn't happening so much when, it was just beginning when my kids were in school, the Happy Meals with the toys and that sort of thing. But then when I noticed that it was being pushed, literally, I think of it as pushing it to our elementary children through vending machines. They don't have any barriers to that sort of marketing,
right.
and they're out of their parents' control when they're at school,
right.
so they're very vulnerable. And I became pretty upset by that and got involved with Susan Combs, who's the agricultural commissioner, has been up until December in Texas, in working to get the vending machines out of elementary schools. But just in the process of that and being involved in that and learning more and researching, I'm a journalist, I like to find things out.
Right.
I discovered that there are so many solutions sitting on shelves that have been well researched and beautifully collateralized by research institutions, hospitals and universities.
The research is there.
The research is there, and the funding for the research is there.
Right.
But typically the funding for implementation is not there, not beyond the pilot program. So all of those goodies are sitting on shelves, ready to be put in place over here. And then over here you have parents and teachers and administrators who want to do something, and they're reinventing the wheel without the benefit of that. So it's the old marketing thing. With real marketing, the first thing you do is look up and see what's everybody else doing,
right, right.
and where do I fit in. And I decided that where we could fit in, first through our family foundation and then through the Recipe for Success, was, I call it Yenta. We are the ones who put all that information at the fingertips of the people who want to use it, and help plug good programs into available deployment, if you will.
What was the first step to get kids, for you, excited about food? Was it taking the chefs in? Was it Whole Foods? What was it?
I knew, just from my own children, that if we could help children discover how much fun cooking is,
right,
that I could capture their imaginations, and we would be down the road. And so they don't want to hear some old mom talking about it, or their teacher who they hear all the time. They like for people to pay attention to them, and famous people or people that they think of as famous. And all of my, I'm sort of a chef junkie, all my chef friends were interested in helping. And so I thought, well, what better way than to bring these famous chefs? I mean, the children might read about their chef on Thursday in the food section, some big color photograph because he's just come out with a cookbook, and then the next day he appears in their
your classroom. So it makes a big difference, that celebrity factor.
They listen.
Gracie, I know you care a lot about even babies. I mean, the food that babies are eating. Tell me about, baby food and how you feel about that, and about nursing, the first 6 months of nursing a baby. What's important to know?
It's interesting, and this is just things that I've discovered through research, but it's widely accepted, that if one nurses rather than feeding formula, a couple of things are happening. First of all, a lot of formula carries sucrose and corn syrup.
80% sugar, isn't that right?
Craziness. Baby food and formula, high sugar content, number one. But number two, just this behavioral thing, that when a mother is nursing and a baby pushes away, she stops.
Right.
But, and who knows why, when your pediatrician says the baby should be taking 2 ounces or 4 ounces or whatever it is of formula, and you've got a bottle in the baby's mouth and the baby pushes away, and babies have this internal monitor, what is too much.
Right.
You override that by saying, no, have to finish the bottle.
Right.
So right from the get-go, you're teaching them to not listen to their internal markers,
but
to eat everything, clean your plate, eat everything on the plate. It sets up a pattern.
Do you teach the kids about sugar and about processed foods and what it does to you?
We try to do that in soft serve ways.
Right.
Again, kids don't like to be preached to.
No, they don't. They love sugar.
They love
Right.
sugar. And we can introduce sweet things to them in healthy ways through fruit.
Right.
And through even molasses is healthier than corn syrup and all of these things. So we can show them how to have their cake and eat it too, so to speak.
And also very important, the most important meal, right, to prevent childhood obesity is actually breakfast. A lot of people skip breakfast.
That's
Tell me about breakfast for children and what they should eat for breakfast.
That's true. Well, there's so many things that a child can eat for breakfast, but the key is that you get some breakfast in there. And it doesn't have to be sit down to eggs and toast, but oatmeal, proven fabulous breakfast, a piece of fruit, a piece of whole wheat toast, just something that will, it's called breakfast for a reason, and they need to have that ingestion of nutrients in order to begin their school day. Otherwise, about 10:30, they really, just like you and I would, you really just start to slide off. And if you feed them a high sugar breakfast, they'll get a big spike and then crash.
So you don't want sugary foods for breakfast.
So you do not want sugary cereals and sugary foods, and even watch the beverages that you're serving. You have to be careful about serving sizes. And people think, oh, well, juice, real juice, that's a good thing, and it is a good thing, but maybe not 8 ounces of it.
Right.
You have to think in terms of what's a real serving size, and be thoughtful to that. Milk is wonderful, but then so many children are lactose intolerant. That's something that, but if you are going to serve milk, skim milk.
Right.
They don't need all the fats.
Right. Now, you got certain schools involved in your program and chefs involved in your. How did you get the chefs involved and the schools to go along with it?
Boy, it was a lot of complicated maneuvering to mesh everyone's schedules. But with the help of the mayor and with the superintendent of schools at HISD, Abe Sabretta, I selected a collection of schools that are essentially serve children at risk. 95% plus free and reduced lunch program. That means these children come from a very poor background for the most part, and primarily inner city schools with varied ethnic background. We're very careful to balance that. So we have a couple of schools that are predominantly African American, a couple that are predominantly Hispanic, and interestingly enough, one that's sort of, I call it the UN. It's pretty well divided among all the ethnic groups, which is fun. But first, we made an overture to about 3 times the number of schools that we are operating in to invite them to participate. And frankly, we selected the 5 with the most enthusiastic administration.
That was open to it.
Open to it and ready to implement. Yeah.
How, if parents are watching this and they want to do something to help their kid's overweight, and they try to change the diet, but the kids are not getting into it. But then you're working with schools and nutrition providers in schools. What can we tell parents about what they can do, what role they can play in helping their kids stay, healthy?
First is to be a good model. I mean, you have to, you can't say one thing and then do another. So that's many times the hardest part. But get the junk food out of your kitchen cabinet.
Start with that.
And of course, if you completely remove things that kids love, they're just going to crave them more.
Right.
So it's fine to have a Coke once a week or to go out for hamburgers once a week, but an every night thing, that doesn't work. And then start thinking about your meals. And parents today are busy, but they don't have the time. But sometimes the simplest, fastest meals are quite often the healthiest meals. Get the children in the kitchen with you and make them part of the process. We are all looking for quality time with our kids. Make them part of that process.
Give me examples of healthy meals.
Well,
easy meals for them to cook.
Easy meals.
And not expensive, because another issue is the expense of whole foods.
Well,
I don't know if that's a myth or it's a reality.
One of the keys is eating in season.
That's
so
right.
of course, if you're eating strawberries in December, it's going to be expensive.
Right, right.
But if you're eating broccoli in December, it won't be. And if you're eating green beans in August, it won't be. So pay attention to the agricultural calendar as far as what's in season. And that's the first step. The second step is thinking in terms of, again, whole foods and keeping the processing minimal. But, you know, every child loves spaghetti, for instance.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to find a child who does not love spaghetti. And if you were to pay attention to food labeling, but either make your own spaghetti sauce, which is so easy.
Right.
And we've got some recipes for that on our website, or even buying processed spaghetti sauce, paying attention to the labeling, making sure it's low sodium and doesn't have a lot of added sugar, and serve that with a whole wheat spaghetti noodles.
Right.
You've got a great, inexpensive
meal. And
it's
easy to do.
It's easy to do.
You talked about food labeling, and that's very important. Walk me through what people need to know about food labels.
Well, honestly, it's right there for you. It's the nice thing that FDA and the USDA have done is put food labeling on everything that we buy that's processed. Now, broccoli doesn't have food labeling on it, but anything that's processed does. So pick up that can and read it, and it'll tell you, for instance, if you've picked up, say, for ease of operation, you're serving a frozen pizza.
Right.
Flip that frozen pizza package over and take a look. Is the sodium content 50% of your daily requirement or maximum? What size is the serving? Because the calories in a serving is based on you serving that, not serving your child the whole pizza or half of the pizza, but one slice of the pizza. So pay attention. Serving sizes are
very important,
huge important thing. And one thing that we can do when our kids don't want to let go of those foods that they love and they're maybe not so good for them, is reduce that serving size to very small, so they get the taste of it. But then add on the salads, the vegetables, and the things that are good for them.
Are there certain things that children should absolutely avoid, that parents should really stress?
Well, just like all of us, we should steer clear of trans fats, and more we're being able to know what has trans fats in it, and certainly high sugar. Sugar has a trickle-down effect in so many ways. First of all, starting our glucose and setting this tilt-a-wheel in place.
And that's the sugar on the label, right?
Says
sugar
right
or,
there.
or corn syrup or...
Well, right there.
Right.
And in sugars, and it shows the type of sugars and the amount. And that's what takes us into early, into childhood diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Right.
But it also causes behavioral issues.
Right. And carbonated drinks, that's something that's
carbonated drinks are so heavy in sugar. I should have brought with me, when I give talks in front of groups, I hold up a 2-pound bag of sugar. A 2-pound bag of sugar is bigger than this coffee cup.
Right.
And that is the average sugar intake of a teenage boy through carbonated beverages alone in 1 week.
It's amazing.
It is astounding.
Now, if you had a choice, and we keep hearing, yes, we know that kids need to exercise and eat well, but if you had a choice between exercise and nutrition and food and what they put in their mouth, what would you choose and why?
Food. I would choose food because, as a friend pointed out, you can eat 2,000 calories in a meal unintentionally, and it would take you months to walk that one off. Mm-hmm. Even if you exercise for an hour a day. But it is like a seesaw balance. It's basically comes down to calories in, calories out.
Right.
But you want the calories that go in to be the highest quality calories. Mm-hmm. And get your child out from in front of the television.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And sedentary things. And do things together like walk to the grocery store, bicycle together, or even walking up and down the stairs.
Get up and move.
Get up and move.
Move. How do you know you're living smart?
I do my best. First of all, we cook at home frequently. I walk 3 miles a day. Now, there are exceptions when I don't get that done. But if I focus on doing it every day, then the one-off when I don't isn't so bad. And I do yoga.
How many times a week do you do yoga?
I try for 3. Again, I try for every day, but it really settles down to about 3 times a week. And I drink lots and lots of water. I don't drink any carbonated beverages at all.
Why is water so important?
Well, it's key to our physiology, isn't it? I mean, they say, the big they say 8 glasses of water a day, and very few people really drink that much. But it's amazing the difference in being properly hydrated has on every part of your body, bodily functions working properly, number one, but your skin, everything benefits from lots of water.
Are you the kind that takes a lot of supplements?
You know, I really don't take very many
because
supplements.
You eat well, right?
I try to get it all through my food. I try to get it all through my food.
Which is probably the best way to do it.
I think so.
That's the way we should go. Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry, you wanted to say? You got it. Thank you so much for joining us and for doing this program. I think it's really helping a lot of kids.
It's truly my pleasure.
Great to have you here.
Thanks.
And for more information on Gracie Cavnar, you can check our website, houstonpbs.org/livingsmart, where you'll find a complete resource list. Feel free to share your own views on battling childhood obesity. You can call us with your comments at 713-743-8513 or email livingsmart@houstonpbs.org. And that's our show for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember to live smart, eat healthy. I'm Patricia Gras. Have a great week.
Production funding for Living Smart with Patricia Gras is underwritten in part by Halliburton. For a transcript of this program, send $6.95 to the address on your screen. Please include the name of the guest.